Aloy was an unexpected yet welcome collaboration character. This gives me hope for an Avatar The Last Airbender collab in the future. Hopefully, one day. Wishful thinking, right? What's up everyone, this is Kay, and Aloy is pretty fun to use. Her elemental skill is a bit inconsistent, but she can be a solid DPS, especially her burst attack. So starting with her bow, I am using the Rust at R5. You honestly won't be using her charge shot a lot, as her strength revolves around her normal attacks. But she does have her Predator bow, although the effects only work on the PlayStation, so not everyone will use this. Has a nice effect though if you are playing on PS4 or 5. Now, Prototype isn't the most ideal bow because you'll waste time with charge shots, and her cryo skill has a time limit. Sure, you can try and time everything with headshots and then normal attacks afterwards, but that's unnecessary hassle. But Viridescent is perfect if you bought the Battle Pass. The Inazuma Hamayumi bow is another good choice since everyone can forge it, and Aloy has a very low energy requirement, so you'll gain the bonus effect. But Rust is overall better, especially at R5. She's obviously at C0 for constellations, but Aloy does need some upgrades, especially her rushing ice state requirements. It's a hassle, but let's hope we'll get constellations for her in the future. Her current talents level are 766. I would recommend leveling the skills in order. Her burst is great, but Aloy's E skill buffs her normal along with debuffing enemies' attack, and obviously her normal is necessary for damage. It's best to level up all the skills, but I'm sure you're broke or out of materials just like me. But her burst has high spamming potential since it only requires 40 energy. Simple attack, but it's very useful for high damage. So for her stats, pretty high attack because of her bow. Her crit rate and damage is pretty good, 61% for crit rate and 133% for damage. Got a little ER as well, so that's helpful. And being a cryo DPS, her status for it is 90%. Moving on to the artifacts, I personally like the 2-piece Blizzard and 18% attack boost, either from Gladiator or the other one. You can use the 4-piece Blizzard, and it's highly recommended if you can constantly infuse cryo to enemies, but I use Aloy in melt teams, and unlike Ayaka for example, who can infuse cryo to her attacks with a push of a button, Aloy requires 4 stacks from her E skill, which does take time. So unless you're using another cryo support character, I'd much prefer the extra damage, but it's a personal preference. But overall, got really lucky with these substats. Of course, with most DPS attack sands, cryo goblet, and crit rate or damage depending on your stats. So one major problem with Aloy is that she relies heavily on entering her rushing ice state in battle, which can only occur when her E skill bombs hit 4 times. Her initial counts as 1 stack, but the mini bombs don't explode right away. They're like landmines, only exploding when enemies touch it, which is a problem when fighting. There were times where I threw the bomb and had to wait for enemies to run into them. The skill also has a long freaking cooldown, but the good news is that Aloy will gain the stacks even when off field, so you can switch to the other characters in the meantime. A great way to help with the issue is to use Sucrose, Jean, or Kazuha to move them into enemies. This would trigger all 4 stacks quicker, but be careful because the stack effect does have a 0.1 second delay, meaning if all the mini bombs were to explode right at the same exact time, you won't gain all 4 stacks at once. There has to be some sort of delay. In terms of damage, her burst deals 21k. It's not reliant on the stacks, nor does it increase in damage, so use the skill whenever. When she's in her cryo state, normal deals 2300 and 2600 for the first 2 shots. We'll say 5k in total for that. Around 4k for her 3rd shot, 5k for her 4th, and 7k on her last. If all crits goes through, around 21k for a full combo, which takes like 4 seconds. That's of course if all attack crits, which they won't. E damage on initial is 9800 and about 2200 on her mini bombs. So for team builds, I like a freeze team. It's pretty fun. With Xingqiu, you'll be shooting arrows and swords, which looks freaking awesome, freezing enemies in place, and pretty solid. My personal favorite is melt teams. Basically have pyro characters and supports and blast the enemies till they're dead. If you have Kazuha, he's one of the best team members for her. He can increase Aloy's elemental stats, help trigger her cryo state faster, and create a fire whirlwind. Overall, Aloy is pretty fun to use. She does need a bit of fixing, especially her E skill. One of my biggest hope is that MiHoYo will give us a free constellation where she will enter her cryo state immediately after activating her skill, and maybe the mini bombs after exploding will buffer damage and extend the duration, something like that, something, you know, to help with her consistency. And I'll be honest, other cryo characters are far better than her, at least for me. Like, she's a 5-star. I understand she's free and all, but my Ganyu and Ayaka easily outdamages her. Even my sub DPS Rosaria is better. Then again, she's at C6, so maybe I shouldn't compare the two. Nonetheless, being available to all players, Aloy will no doubt help a lot of people. Well, there you have it, folks, a quick guide on Aloy, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for future Genshin Impact videos, and good luck on your summons if you're still trying to get the Raiden Shogun, or if you're saving for Kokomi. I gotta save for Toma. Freaking hell, I know MiHoYo's gonna put him with a 5-star character I don't want. Just watch, they always do that. Regardless, good luck on your summons, everyone. Till next time.